Hello and welcome. Today's project is all about trauma, understanding trauma, and how can we recover from trauma. And this is a really passionate subject for me because I've spent most of my 20s stuck in the past, stuck reliving through traumatic moments. I'd be on the subway and then a memory would pop up, an embarrassing memory, guilty memory, shameful memory, and it would catch me and freeze me into this state of trance. And then I would come out of this trance feeling all the negative emotion that I felt being in that trance. And then I would continue on with my day, but then there would be this black cloud surrounding me. Like in Harry Potter, when Harry encounters the Dementors, he says, you get this strange feeling that you'll never be happy again. And that's really interesting because when you do confront and go back into that hypnotic trance-like state, remembering a traumatic moment from your past, what's happening is that your unconscious is speaking to you. Your unconscious is telling you, hey, there is this thing that you encountered in the past that exceeded your emotional threshold. And you haven't understood what happened back then. And I'm reminding you to deal with this, but we live in a society today where we don't know how to deal with those moments from our past. In school, we're not taught how to. Your parents, most likely, you're not taught how to. And so, how can we heal from this past trauma that keeps us stuck in the past? Now, I mentioned earlier emotional threshold. We hold on to those moments in our lives that exceed that emotional threshold. The amygdala works by how intense the emotion becomes and is. So you experience something embarrassing, you'll hold on to that for a good amount of at least 3 days, like hardcore, and then a week later it's not as intense, but it'll still come about in your mind's eye. And what's interesting about these little snippets is that unless we confront them and let go of the pain and understand why we went through what we did, then we'll never let go of them. We have to confront the pain in order to let go of the pain. No pain, no gain. And what happens when the pain comes up? When I was on the subway and when that pain would arise of that emotional memory, what happens is I would encounter that pain, and then once it got to the height of the trauma, I would repress it and come back into the present moment. I wouldn't release the pain. The energy is still stored within me. And then so the energy will come about later, maybe that day, maybe a week later, maybe a year later. My unconscious will remind me at some point, hey Brad, there's this emotional, strong energy that you haven't contended with and understood, because our unconscious mind doesn't want us to walk into the same pothole again in the future. That's what it's doing. My unconscious mind is reminding me to understand what happened so that we don't walk into the same pit again later down the road. Right? It's a defense mechanism, safety mechanism built into us, ancient systems, really powerful. So when I talk with my clients about trauma, and I will then guide them through a releasing trauma exercise. And now it's really important that I calm their system down. So I get them to close their eyes and I get them to breathe and relax. And I get them to pay attention to different parts of their body, mindful meditation. And this helps them activate this part of their brain that gets shut off during trauma, the timekeeper, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. This part of the brain shuts off when we encounter trauma and then when we relive trauma. Now, the timekeeper, what this does is it helps you orient yourself in the world, that the past should remain the past, that this present no longer defines the past. It makes our experiences now more tolerable when we know that these experiences are going to end. But when I meet with my clients, what do they say to me? Brad, this feeling seems like it's never going to end. I feel trapped. I feel like I am stuck in a place in time and I can't be present. And when I read about the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, it amazed me, and I got the connection between the feeling of being trapped and the feeling of being present, right? How these two are different. So when I get my client to sit comfortably, I get that activates their dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. It makes them feel like they're here and now in the present moment, and that they can then go back to the past to confront the pain and trauma that they need to confront. And so voluntarily confronting what you don't want to confront is the way to healing. That's what's necessary to heal. So I get them to close their eyes, be present, and then I say, let's go back to the trauma. So then you'll say to me, Brad, how do I know what's traumatic in my life? Well, trust your unconscious mind to determine that for you. Ask yourself, what from my past is keeping me anxious? Or not only that, is there something from my past that is still causing me negative emotion? And bring that about. Whatever comes up to the mind first, that's what you'll work with. So you bring it about, and what you'll do is you'll revisit the experience. You'll go through the traumatic moment. You'll feel all of the negative emotions. Many people cry. I certainly did when I did this, and you'll cry and you'll feel all the pain and suffering. And at the height of the trauma, I'll say, pause the movie, pause that experience in your mind's eye. Go back to the beginning of the experience and then go through the whole experience again, but in a different way, the way you would have liked it to go instead. What would you do differently so that you can now attach safety to the experience rather than holding on to the threat of pain, right? That's why the amygdala is causing all that anxiety, is the threat of pain, danger. So you have to show your unconscious system that you're no longer in danger, that you're safe. So you go through the experience the way you would have liked it to go, and after you do that, you sit down with your older self. In your mind's eye, you imagine yourself sitting down with the younger you. You put your arm around them and you explain to them why you shouldn't be frightened. And you describe to them any lessons that you've learned now as an older adult, and you make them feel safe. And then you run some energy colors, your healing colors through your body, and then and then you start to, this whole experience is now associating the experience, that painful memory, to now being safe rather than dangerous. Because when you are on the subway, when you are in your car, and you bring about that painful emotional memory, it usually comes about as a clip, as an image, or you might see it through a movie, a brief GIF, like one of those 5-second Facebook messaging GIFs that repeat, right? That small thing that your amygdala held on to because the threat of pain emerged. We have to work with that GIF, that image, to make new associations. So currently, are you stuck in the past? Ask yourself that. Is there anything that you're contending with? Are you feeling anxious? Do you get caught up in those moments of trance and you feel all that negative emotion, and then that negative emotion just drags out through the rest of your day? And, well, like everybody, there is something there. There's always something to heal yourself from. And the more you heal these past experiences, the lighter you will feel. You're releasing the baggage. You're cutting and breaking off the chains that keep you stuck in the past. And so then you'll be more present the more you release that baggage. And that's where I'm going to leave you on today's video. Leave your comments below. Is there stuff you're currently contending with? Did this video relate to your story, and did it resonate with you? And I hope that it did. Do not let anxiety define who you are. I will see you on the next video. Bye for now. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell so that whenever a new video of mine appears, you will be one of the first to know. Namaste.